Chapter 1. That night, the duty lamp at the checkpoint flickered as if it already knew that by morning everything here would become quiet. Not calm, quiet. The kind of quiet that comes only when someone has already understood everything, but has not yet dared to say it out loud. On the manager's desk lay a folder, ordinary, gray, without markings. Dozens like it pass through every year. But in this one, the numbers did not match. Not sharply, not obviously. They simply did not align. The shortage was neat. Not the kind left by thieves. The kind left by those who are confident no one is looking for them. The warehouse manager leafed through the papers in silence. He was not thinking about money. He was thinking about a name that should have appeared in an explanation report. But there was no name. The man responsible for these records had worked here for years. Everyone knew his face, his voice, his habit of arriving earlier than anyone else and leaving later than everyone. But no one could remember where he came from. He was not listed as transferred, not registered as newly arrived. His personnel file was empty. The first time the manager noticed this, he told himself he was simply tired. The second time, he closed the folder and went out to smoke. The third time, he understood. If he signed the report, more than a shortage would disappear. He would disappear. That morning, the man was summoned. He entered calmly, sat down, placed his hands on his knees, and waited. The manager asked directly, "Where are your documents?" The man looked at him and answered quietly, as if he had rehearsed it for years. They existed. They were lost. In the Soviet Union, that sounded worse than a confession. But the manager said nothing. He understood. This was not a thief. This was someone who knew the system better than the system knew itself. Chapter 2. "Where are you from?" someone once asked him in the communal kitchen. The man paused for a moment and replied, "From the same place as everyone else." After that, no one asked again. In the Soviet Union, a man without a past was a rarity. A man without documents was a danger. But a man who knew how to remain invisible could live for years, as long as he did not stand out. He never argued, never pushed forward, never spoke about himself more than necessary. He knew the names of other people's children, but never mentioned his own. He knew who owed whom, but never reminded them. He knew where the keys were kept, but never asked permission. When he was first asked to help with calculations, he simply nodded. When he was given access to the warehouse, he thanked them. When documents were entrusted to him, he did not celebrate. He understood the main rule. In this country, people did not live. Cases lived. If a case was clean, a person existed. If a case disappeared, a person was no longer needed. He studied reports the way others studied maps. He saw where numbers were drawn to meet the plan, where losses were written off as norms, where eyes were closed because an order had come from above. Gradually, he understood something simple. The state did not watch what was stolen. It watched that the report looked correct. Chapter 3. When someone said that everything here had already been stolen before us, no one laughed. It was not a joke. It was an instruction. Shortage was everywhere. No one searched for it. They were used to it. More left the warehouse than arrived. On paper, everything balanced. In reality, it did not. Management took their share. Drivers took theirs. Storekeepers took theirs. No one called it theft. They called it survival. He understood that crude theft led to prison. Precision led into the shadows. He did not take sacks. He did not take crates. He took differences. Slightly more written off. slightly less
The route's
accepted.
changed. We move tonight.
A form closed a little earlier. What disappeared did not vanish at once. It dissolved, as if it had never existed. Then people appeared who knew where to go. Money did not come directly. It came as gratitude, as favors, as debts. And each time he reminded himself, I am not stealing. I am simply not interfering with the system being itself. Chapter 4. The stamp lay in the drawer. At that moment, he understood. He had everything. The stamp meant more than a signature, more than a face. With a stamp, any question could be closed. He learned to use movement instead of theft. Goods went for processing. Returned as misclassification. Written off as defects. Appeared again, but without an owner. Every document was genuine, every signature real, every seal correct. If anyone tried to audit it, they would drown in paperwork. He knew where the system was blind. It could not see when everything looked too perfect. He did not keep money with him. He did not trust cash. He trusted people who were more afraid than he was. Chapter 5. The auditor arrived without noise, without warning, without shouting. He simply sat down at the desk and began to look. He was not searching for shortages. He was searching for repetition. Repeated signatures, repeated dates, repeated handwriting. He said aloud, calmly, as if reading a weather forecast, I am not looking for money. I am looking for the one who knows how to hide it. The room became cold. For the first time, fear appeared. Not sharp, viscous. Because he understood. This man was not looking at numbers. He was looking at logic. And logic always leads to one place, to a person. When the auditor raised his eyes, their gazes met. At that moment, it became clear the game had entered another level. Chapter 6. The most frightening part of such inspections was not the questions. It was the pauses. The auditor did not hurry. It was as if he was waiting for the warehouse to confess on its own. He asked quietly, How long have you been here? The answer was simple. A long time. And before that, moves. The auditor said, You are too smart for a warehouse. Chapter 7. The next day he was called in for a conversation. Not officially, not through personnel. Just told to come after the shift. Either you sign, or you start naming names. He answered, I am alone. Chapter 8. They began to erase him. Locks, stamps, logs. They turned him into empty space. Chapter 9. He asked for a transfer. Anywhere, just to disappear. Chapter 10. They never arrested him, because that would have been an admission. He stole correctly, and he stayed alive.